All right. So Tim Pool tweeted this. Anna Kasparian comes out as far right. One of us. One of us. Now, I don't. He's joking, obviously, about far right, because as we know at this point already, it's well established that the left has been racing so far to the far left that anything to the left, even if you're just standing still, you seem like you're just getting increasingly far and more far right. This is what I guess anybody who's been on the left and just says anything even remotely reasonable, they're going to be called far right, because anything that's not them is automatically the most reasonable things in the world are far right, according to the modern left. Here from, let's see, Sean Fitzgerald, actual justice warrior. A lot of people in America, and yes, that includes on the left, feel exactly like Anna Kasparian in this mega rant. How does it make sense that you have a National Guard searching old ladies in the subway, but the 4 arrested for, get this, dismembering 2 people get released automatically without bail? So that's New York. That's in New York. I mean, what do you even say? At what point it's so dystopian? What do you even say to this? Well, Anna Kasparian's kind of taken aback by it. Let's hear what she has to say.
Dismembering a corpse and hiding a corpse after dismembering it, not bail eligible, not a serious crime. I'm not even kidding, guys. Like when Joy Behar outlined that case, I was like, she's crazy. This isn't a thing. This isn't real. This isn't real. So I looked it up. It's real, guys. It's real. Listen, if being on the left means supporting this, then I'm not on the left, and I'm okay with that. So let me give you
That's every sane person who's actually been paying attention for the past, 10 years. That's every single sane person. Because it's not, it's as if it's like, liberals versus the far right. That's the narrative, like in the news, mainstream media, legacy media. It's just liberals, nice people with liberal ideas versus this far right. And everybody who doesn't agree with them, of course, says far right, far terrifying far rightists, right? It's becoming increasingly clear, I think, to a lot of people, a number of people, millions of people, God knows how many people, but it's becoming increasingly clear that it is in fact sanity versus far left authoritarian lunacy. That's what's actually happening here. And Anna Kasparian seems to be coming to this conclusion. I mean, let's take a look here. Progressive journo Anna Kasparian unleashes on left's obsession with garbage identity politics. She says, I'm done with it. That was August 3rd, 2023. She says the identitarian stuff by nature divides us and leads to more fights, more conflict, even among us, she said during Monday's episode of the show. Well, she's been obviously witnessing the left canceling each other, denouncing each other. And what about this? Anna Kasparian, this is from February 5th, 2023, talking to Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro from the Daily Wire. Quote, I get so much flack for saying this. Anna Kasparian talks failed leftist policies with Ben Shapiro. Quote, it's insanely cruel to watch people die on our streets and give yourself a pat on the back because you think you did something compassionate. Yeah, pretty much any like really liberal city. I mean, it's a bunch of elitist snobs who have useless degrees, many of them, who, are patting themselves on the back for how compassionate, how empathetic they are, how good they are, how they're on the right side of history as they step over bodies. At the very least, just walk past the bodies on the side of the road. Half the time, you can't tell whether they're actually even alive or not. It's how tragic it is in, left-wing cities at this point. It's not even just like big cities. It's actually even small towns this has come to now. It's really tragic and awful and inhuman. And it's, Anna Kasparian apparently is noticing that. Again, I'm not saying she's going to become a right-winger. She's going to support Trump or anything like that. The host but she's at least, I think, she's reached that line, it seems, or she's getting close to that line, which everybody has, where the consequences of fashionable politics and policies actually starts to affect them personally. But There are people, there are some people where there is no line. I should say that. Like in Canada, there's the Truanon, what we call Truanon, who will vote. Trudeau could say his campaign promise in the next election could be that he will force every Canadian to live in a cave or like a hole in the ground that they have to dig themselves to fight climate change. And there are still people, probably billions of people, that would still vote for him, right? So there are people that are just beyond hope. But I think most people do have a line where when the consequences of their vote actually starts to affect them, when it will actually matter, it will change the way they think. They'll go, okay, enough of that. Enough of these luxury beliefs I've been having, right? This is fucked up now. I think we're going to stop. The host told Shapiro she was assaulted while walking her dog in her own neighborhood. As she walked by two men who were on drugs and appearing homeless, one of the men grabbed her while she bent over to clean up after her dog and repeatedly thrust, I can't say that on YouTube. Yeah. Quote, I have to think about that at least twice a day when I take my dog out for a walk. Yes, it is traumatizing, she said, adding, what's making it worse, though, is that I'm the bad guy for sharing this story and saying, hey, we can't just let this kind of stuff happen. We need to find real solutions for it. Yeah, she was immediately denounced by the other lefties, by the hardcore left base of the Young Turks, the show that she's on. They like it. They have no problem with it. Is she starting I think she's starting to wake up to the fact that a lot of her audience wants that. They're fine with it. This is all before. This is from last year. And here's from now. And again, I don't think she's going to turn into a right-winger. I don't think she's going to join the Daily Wire. But it's fascinating to see somebody who's been so entrenched in far-left politics and encouraging people to vote for insane things for so long. It's fascinating to see them come into conflict with these same things that they've been saying, these same things that they've been preaching, when it affects their life or when it just becomes just clearly insane. So let's continue. And she's talking about how these guys in New York were released without bail after being arrested for dismembering people. New York.
Listen, if being on the left means supporting this, then I'm not on the left, and I'm okay with that. So let me give you the details of the case.
It doesn't mean that.
Okay, I don't know.
It does mean that. It does. Where have you been? It does mean that. It clearly does mean that. These are the consequences of the policies you've been advocating for. This is what it means. The hardcore leftist base likes this. They're fine with it. They're the same people that told Anna Kasparian not to talk about what happened to her because it was inconvenient. And because, I don't know, I guess her privilege or something, she's not allowed to complain about being assaulted. Yes, that is what it means. He's completely full of shit.
On the left. We're all on the left. We don't want people dismembering folks getting released. Only a couple of lunatic.
Some do.
I know. What I was in the middle of saying is only a couple of lunatic activists are like, yeah, we're pro dismemberment guys being let go. Okay.
What do you mean, like the people who voted in the people who changed the laws so that those people could be let go? Just those fringe people? Doesn't sound that fringe to me. Doesn't sound like a few fringe lunatics. That sounds like the policy of the Democratic Party in New York. I mean, what else is it exactly?
Whatever. You don't represent the left at all.
Dismembered bodies. It's so unfair to put them in prison. Okay, let me give you the details of the actual case, okay? So 4 people were arrested in New York after body parts were found in Long Island. Okay, dismembered body parts. The victims were, 2 people from Yonkers, older individuals. Suffolk County Police say 44-year-old Stephen Brown, 38-year-old Jeffrey Mackey, 40-year-old Amanda Wallace, and 33-year-old Alexis Neves were charged with concealment of a corpse, tampering with physical evidence, and hindering prosecution. They have not been charged with murder. Prosecutors told a judge There was so much blood in the pipes, sink, shower, and toilet of the Railroad Avenue home in Amityville, where the suspects were arrested, that it was deemed uninhabitable. Police said they confiscated meat cleavers, butcher knives, flesh, and body parts. Attorneys for Brown and Mackey admitted that their clients lived in that home where the body parts and all that blood was found, but denied chopping up the 59-year-old woman and 53-year-old man whose last known address was in Yonkers. Wallace also lived with Brown and Mackey in Amityville. Police.
Yeah, and none of that happened by accident. Like Cenk Uygur there, he wants you to think it's not that nobody voted for this. Nobody wants just a few fringe lunatics. Well, it seems to be systemic, doesn't it? Doesn't sound like a few fringe lunatics can do that. It sounds like a lot of lunatics working together with power and authority can do that. It's really quite crazy. Antipop says, need a bigger dog. Yep, multiple dogs, multiple very large dogs, and also, I might add, a sane society. Anyway, let's continue.
Said that Knives is homeless. Okay, all four pleaded not guilty. The judge released them without bail. They were fitted with GPS monitoring and must report in person probation and surrender their passports.
I don't care about their passports.
Dude, guys, like what? Okay, so did further research because I just couldn't believe it. Here's more. With 2019 state reforms, mutilation and disposal of murdered corpses are among crimes that are no longer bail eligible. The DA said the four went to barbaric lengths to cover the crime. What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing, Cenk? What are we doing? What are we doing? Someone tell me, what the F are we doing?
Yeah, look. No one signed up for this. I don't know.
Yes, you did. Yes, they did. This is a result of the policies that you all advocated for. Yes, you did. These are the consequences of your policy. Maybe you should have thought about that. I don't think Cenk cares anyway. It doesn't matter. But Anna Kasparian is obviously just like, she's found her line. She's found her line where it's just too much. You know, like letting people out without bail after they're arrested and seem pretty guilty of murdering and dismembering people. And lots of their audience will like that too. They'll be just fine with it. Why? Because that's the road, that's the primrose path that she herself has led these people down. By advocating for far left policies no matter what, constantly. Now, again, Anna Kasparian seems to be waking up a bit. You know, over the last couple of years, she seems to be finding that line where it's just too much. It's too crazy. You can't rationalize it anymore. It's too bananas. Anyway, let's let her continue here.
How the hell any of these laws passed? I went to every progressive conference there was over the last 20 years. I never heard a single person saying, why don't we let the actual criminals go? Hey, if someone butchers someone and chops them up into little pieces, let's do the kind of criminal justice reform where they would be able to walk out free.
Yeah, come at me right now.
As if it all just happened by accident. As if it has nothing to do with the policies they themselves have been advocating for, without thinking about it, just heedlessly. Oh, that sounds nice. That sounds left-wing. That sounds progressive. That's all that matters, by the way, for the modern left, right? For the vast majority of them, they're not thinking about it at all. It's just what sounds progressive, you know? Well, let's reform bail. Let's do that. Because I heard one story about somebody. Let's just reform it. We don't need to think about it too much. Just police are bad. All police are bad. Some of them are, as a matter of fact. But you know, to them, all police are bad. Everything's unjust. Everything is systemically racist or phobic in some way, right? So let's just heedlessly change these laws. This is what they've advocated for. It all felt progressive. Guess what? It doesn't work. Well, it doesn't work for people who don't want to get killed and dismembered. Sorry. To qualify that. Apparently it's not working for Anna Kasparian anymore either.
tell me I'm the bad guy because I want these people who dismembered corpses and tried to conceal the evidence in prison come at me and tell me I'm the bad guy. Come at me.
I don't look, guys.
Insane. You guys are insane. Anyone who thinks this is okay is insane. And everyone else in New York has to suffer the consequences of this with random bag checks at the subway by National Guard troops.
Insane.
Dismembering?
Insane, she says. If only there'd been any other people mentioning that the policies they've been advocating for were insane. If only.